I guess you can start anywhere you really want to.
Okay, my name is Emilia Bartolotta. Emilia Mirandola Bartolotta. I was born May 8, 1929. I grew up in Verona, Italy, up to when I was 18. After that, my life changed.
Yeah.
There was talk in the papers and in the schools, although I was in the fifth grade, I think. And the teacher kept talking about, talking about the war. We might have a war. And the world was already into the war.
Yeah.
War. But we weren't in it. And one day, she said, the loudspeaker in the school say, all the children go to the field. We had a field fence then. And we all went there with our class. And the principal came out and says, I'm sorry to say, I'm very sorry to say that we are in the war. The war will declare. And everybody goes home. I was afraid what it meant, because there was a lot of, like Verona is a military place. There is a lot of soldiers, even if it isn't for the war. So when I went home, my mother said, what happened to you? I said, well, we're in the war, we declare war. And she says, what do you mean? My mother didn't know, because she didn't open the radio. She didn't use the radio during the day.
Right.
I said, well, the principal came out and we went in the field and he said, we all go home and have a day, and stay close to the family. So I said, and here I am. I only lived like from here to down the block. So it wasn't that far that I had to go.
Were your siblings, were they in the school as well the same day?
No, they went to a different school. So my older sister was already out of school. She worked in when they sold old books.
Okay.
It was better than a library.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it better. But I went there and stayed there many times. Just reading, But before that, the Germans started coming in.
Yeah.
You could see them patrolling, with the musket. And it was very, very, between the bombs, that the American, God bless them, they came every night and paid a nice visit. Well, only because Verona is the last, not the last stop, but the last military stop between Italy and Germany and Austria.
Right.
Not Germany. I saw these Germans, I remember I was out shopping with my mother, and I went like this to her. I said, look.
Yeah.
She said, no, don't look. My mother. I said, Mom, but why? Why is this happening? What happened? She said, the war is getting worse. And although my father was in the war, although he was 40, he was supposed to be with the Red Cross,
Okay.
Only picking up the people and bring them to the hospital and all that. But as soon as he got to down below Naples, they gave him a musket and said, you got to carry this with you. My father said, no, it's not. My father was a gentleman, gentle and very scared of the war because he was in the First World War. He says, I know what war is, and I'm not for it. But he had to go. So he went. And it was devastating. Like when he left, it was like a nightmare for us, girls,
And it's all women in your family, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Only girls.
Oh.
My father used to call them my 4 mistakes. My 4 beautiful mistakes.
So he had a good sense of humor too, I
Yes,
see.
but he loved us. We knew it. So, he became like an old man. I remember my father looking out of the window and his shoulders was stumped, like it was all with him. And I said to my sister Jeannie, I said, John, Daddy's gonna leave. He's gonna leave soon. She says, yes, I know. She was very smart, my sister. We started to cry, She says, look, if we cry and we show Mama we cry, Mama's gonna start to cry.
Yeah.
So she says, you gotta be strong, you can't cry. So, we wiped her and make believe we play a game.
Yeah.
But it wasn't with the heart. So we took my daddy to the station with all the soldiers. And this poor old man, the other one, they were singing, who was saying goodbye to his family, But he was just slumped. And he went. And he didn't come back until 1 year after the war. 1 year. Because he was in Scotland, they sent him.
Okay.
They sent him to Scotland because the guy was a general, I don't know, some kind of and he wanted him. My father used to be like a bullet. Take care of his clothes and things, everything, just so his uniform.
Oh, I see.
Just so. And he loved him. He didn't want to let him come home. He said, no, I have to go. I got 4 girls that wait, 5 girls that wait for me.
What was it like when he came back? Do you remember that day when you saw it?
I remember it. I was coming down. My sister lived upstairs, and we lived downstairs. In the apartment house, when I went and see now, when I went back, it was right by the by the river. And he came up, he was an old man. Always there was white, you know. And he didn't recognize me.
Wow.
And he says, do you know where the Mirandola lives? Something about his voice. I said, why? He said, well, I have business with them. I said, I know where they live. And then I looked at him. I said, Papa? Daddy? And he says, is it one of my girls? I said, yes. And we both cried. And I rang the bell. My mother came out. Oh.
Take your time, it's okay.
All the good things that happened in my life, that was one of the best. Really, just to see him, he was such a nice man. A gentle, he was a gentle soul.
Can I get you a tissue or anything?
Yeah, it's okay.
Let me get you one.
My papa.
Oh, you do?
Thank you.
Thank you. She's a good one.
Yes, she is. That was when he came home.
Yeah.
It was the best day, one of the best days of my life. The day I met my husband and the day my father came home.
So how old were you when he came back about?
Well, it was 1945, 46, so was what, 16?
So during the time he was gone, was that during the time when you had told me the other story?
My mother got hurt during the war. We lived in Pesquera, near the lake,
Okay.
Lake Garda. And there was a lot of, it was a military place. Pesquera is a military place. And we went to see now with Lisa, and I showed her the dungeons that they have for the prisoners, you know. And my sisters got requisitioned by the Germans when we got invaded by the Germans. They got requisition every night, every day, morning. They used to come and get them and bring them home at night to work in the office. So that all the men, German men, they would be out patrolling or doing whatever they would, you know, their duty. They wouldn't have to work in the office. When that happened, we got like the sirens. Oh, the Americans, they come. The English, no. The English flyer, not too many.
Yeah.
But the American, they came with a big voice, you know.
I've only heard the sounds in movies before, but I know that's.
God.
I know that sound you're describing. Yeah.
So they came, and I said to my mother, "Mama, we have to get out of the house. You know, we gotta go in the field." So next to the house, there was a big field. And it was next to the main drag, if you call it.
Yeah.
And I said, Ma, lay down. So we lay down. And there was a guy with his son, got a little boy. The little boy kept crying. He was scared
Yeah.
because they make such a noise, and then the sirens and everybody was running here, was running there. And he didn't want to lay down. So all of a sudden, boom, this big, heavy boom.
Yeah.
That's why I'm deaf. He didn't want to lay down. If you lay down, your stomach doesn't get upset with the air coming up and then going down. When the bomb comes down, the air goes all down with them and drags like this, like a funnel. And then it comes up because they explode.
Ah.
So it's double. If you're not careful, your stomach comes up to your and you gag, you die.
Wow.
So all of a sudden there's this big ball, big rock like this, right on my mother's back. It landed. Oof. My mother, she went, and that's it. She said to me, go and get the priest, because I'm going to die.
Wow.
So I'm crying. I leave, I go to the church, and I want to get the priest. I said to the priest, please come. My mother's dying. She wants you. He says, oh no. He says, there is many unexploded bombs. I'm moving from here. I said, but I just came. I'm a little girl. I just came from there. You're a big man. You can do it. He didn't want to come. So I'm thinking my mother's all alone.
Yeah.
She might die all alone. So I run back. And I wrote by my mother. I said, no, the priest couldn't come. I didn't tell him he didn't want to come. I said he couldn't come. So she said, okay, I gotta go to the hospital or something. So I go in the middle of the main drag, and I try to flag everybody that passed by. Italian soldiers of all kinds. The fascists, the regular army, nobody stops. So I was there about 3/4 of an hour, in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
Of course, with the bomb, my nose vessel broke, and I was bleeding all over myself. I was full of blood. It looked like I was going to die,
Yeah.
but there was nothing, So this German commander with a beautiful car, shiny, even the littlest thing was shiny. He stopped, and his driver spoke Italian, and he said to me, "Cosa succede? What happened?" So I told him my mother got hurt, and I need a ride to the hospital. Nobody stops, and I started to cry. So the commander said, asked her, I guess, if she's hurt. So the driver said, are you hurt?
Right.
I says, no, just my nose, with the bone. He says, okay, where is your mother? So I showed him, in the field.
Here, I got something that looks like Cleopatra.
So he says, don't worry. He went there and he picked her up and he put her in the car. And me with all my blood and dirty all the car. I was scared,
Yeah. Like
The
her.
commander said to the driver, tell the girl I have a girl home in Munich, the same age as her. And he said, I hope somebody does for her what I do for my daughter what I do for her. We went to the hospital in Desenzano, not Peschiera, Desenzano, because he said that's a better hospital. So it's still on the lake.
Right.
So we went there, and he went in the office, he got a private room. He said, I want her taken care of. Everything that you have to do, I take care of everything. Don't worry about it. So, all the nuns, it's run by the nuns there. All the nuns said, okay, because they see this big German commander, when they see the stripes.
Yeah. Yeah, nervous.
So he says, don't worry, we'll take care of her the best. And every day, my mother was there about 40 days. Every day, the chauffeur, the driver, went and see my mother.
The driver would come to check on her each
Yes.
day?
If they treat her good, if she gets everything that she's supposed to get, to talk with the doctor. Because I told the driver, he was asking me, where is your father? I said, well, my father, I don't know where he is, because, he's a prisoner. Because they sent him to Libya, my father.
Oh.
And he became a prisoner, and there he became a bullet for this general, I don't know what he was, colonel, general. But he was a nice man, and he loved my father. He didn't want him to come home.
Yeah.
The commander, I seen him one last time, and he said to me, don't worry, the war will end soon.
Yeah.
He said to me, which was true. Not soon, but anyway, because then there was Anzio and Casino that they couldn't go past there. See, from Sicily all the way to the middle of Italy, almost. It was like a quick,
Yeah.
the occupation, the American. But after that, the Germans were up there, and the Americans were down here. It's hard to get up there.
So, how long was your father away when he was a prisoner? How long was he up there?
Well, from 1941 to 1946,
That's a long time.
5 years.
Wow. And during that time, that was when the air raids started happening, and you
Yes.
went through all this. Jeez. That's a lot for a kid to deal with.
Well, I had a good mother. She always made us feel loved. The hate is out there,
Yeah.
but I love you. you know. No matter we didn't have money, we didn't gold. My mother sold all the gold. While the gold lasted, we had food, and we were okay. When the gold went, but see, my father had a big farm. His father, they had a big on the Po Valley,
Okay.
which was very fertile, very big place, with people like 30, 40 people working for them. But my mother didn't get along with one of the daughter-in-laws, and they moved away. We moved in Verona. This, my father's place was outside Verona,
Okay.
between Verona and Bologna, which is, the Po Valley, the bread basket of Italy, really. And we always used to say, why don't we go to Grandma, Grandpa. My mother said, no. We eat once a day. We don't eat one day, but we don't go. She was very strong-willed,
Yeah.
my mother. And it was hard for us, thinking, as a little girl, I was thinking, but I have a grandma, I have a grandpa that have fields of grain. Okay, they don't have the men to work it, but even my grandfather could work a couple of the fields, for themselves.
It was just pride in what
Yes.
she wanted to take care of her own family. How did she get rid of the gold? How did she trade gold for food and everything?
Well, like I give you this and my ring, and you give me, let's say, for a month, so much every day, milk every day, for a month, or for 6 months, or
Right.
whatever. Depends on the, the worth of the jewelry that she had.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's how we lived until it ran out. How much can you have?
Yeah.
So anyway, it got tough. We used to go in the field and get the dandelions, and we used to cook it
Yeah.
with nothing, no salt, no oil, nothing.
Water and
That's
dandelions.
But we survived, It wasn't easy, but we survived. It was a terrible time for everybody, really. We weren't alone, to tell you the truth. But, and then we lived like across the street from, they make the bread. And the guy was very good. Sometimes, he felt sorry. But my sister ate because they went and worked for the Germans after the September 8th, 1940. 43 or 44, I'm not sure. 1944. We lived in a little village by the lake, but inside, not by the lake.
Okay.
You had to travel like 6-7 miles to go to the lake.
Right.
And we moved there, one room, only one room. Of course, my sisters couldn't come home every night. Of course, the Germans, they provide a room. My mother and I only. My mother was getting better. Her back was getting better. So the priest, I used to go and help the priest, like pressing the vestments and things like that. My mother was always for the church, prayed a lot. The priest said to me one day, "What would you like?" There was a German concentration, like SS. They were. If there was a devil in this life, those people selected devils, really, because not all Germans were bad. Really, not all Germans were bad, but the SS, they would select a devil. So he says, look, there is this commander that he had his own cow sent from his own farm because he doesn't trust the milk from the Italian cows.
Oh.
He wants the milk from his own cow. So he had the cow sent in, and he says, now somebody's got to go to pasture the cow every day. Would you like to do that? He says, he gives you a quart of milk every other day. I said, oh yeah, definitely, for goodness sake. I said, Ma, that's God sent. God is good to us. My mother said, I don't want you to work for the Germans. You're too young for that. I said, well, but I have to go to the pasture. So I said to the priest, I'm a city girl. I don't know much about cows, but to pasture a cow, I don't think I have to know that much, right? What do I know? So anyway, I pastured the cow every day, and we went along nice for a month or so. It was very good. My mother was delighted because she had the milk, You can do a lot of things, you can make butter with the milk. So, anyway, one day I go to a different pasture and I see beautiful green pasture. Beautiful. Oh, it was so good. I said, oh, the cow is going to enjoy that, But it was a little higher than the other place. I said, what's the difference? If it's higher, maybe it's better. So I said, okay. I had my books, and I'm reading. And the cow is pasturing good. All of a sudden I turned around, and the legs of the cow was up in the air. Her stomach was like this. It was alfalfa. See, alfalfa is good, but when it's dry, when it's fresh, it ferments in the stomach. The cow died right there. I said, what am I going to do? I started to cry. I went to the priest and I tell him what happened. It was to that field. He says, oh my God, that's alfalfa. That's why. I said, oh my God. So he goes and tells the commander, the cow died. What can you do?
Lisa?
She says, how come the cow died? So tell him, she ate the alfalfa or whatever it was. Anyway, And he said, my God. He said, bring the girl here. So the priest, he says, she's right outside. He said, come on in. I go in. You know, German. I don't know.
So you didn't even know what he was saying?
But the priest understood German very well because he went to Austria for his, I don't know, some kind of a schooling.
Yeah.
So, and he understood, and he said, oh my God, no. He said, you can't. He was going like this, you know. And I said, cosa dice? What does he say? You know. He says, well, for now, you gotta go in the dungeons. He said, and after that, I don't know what he's gonna do, because he's so mad. He said, let him come down in Italian, you know, let him come down, let him relax a little bit. And then I talked to him again. So I went to jail. I went to jail, and the guy didn't want to feed me. So I said to the German guy,
Yeah.
that I was hungry. Sure, it was what, 14, 13. You know, I was always hungry. So he said to me, well, he says, he doesn't want to feed you, but I have something for you anyway. This was a regular German, not a Wehrmacht. And of course, the SS don't work in the dungeons, only to twist you, you know. But other than that, so anyway, he says, I'll bring you something every day, but don't tell anybody. I said, okay, it's safe for me, you know. So anyway, 2 weeks passed. And the priest every day went and talked to the commander. I'm sure that he did his best. Finally, they let me out. He said, I don't want to hear nothing from you. Nothing. I don't want to see you in the street. I don't want the commander. So he's translating the priest. I said, okay, it's fine, I understand. I was sorry for the cow, really, and for myself, because that was the end of the milk. It went that I went home, and after that, it wasn't that much, months after that, the war ended.
When you were locked up, did you think you were going to get out of there?
Well, I prayed a lot.
You hoped you would, but yeah.
I prayed a lot. I didn't think that I was ever going to get out of there. The biggest thing was like this, the window,
Yeah.
this big. There was no heat, no nothing. It wasn't that cold, thank God, yet, you know.
Were there lots of other people there, locked up as well? Or?
I was in with another woman and 2 kids, I think, and 2 kids. But they took her out right away. I don't know where they went.
You never saw them again?
She was the wife of a partisan. You know, the partisan was against the fascists, against the Germans, against the war.
Right.
And they didn't want to fight. They fought the Germans, but only underhanded. not in the army,
Yeah.
you know. Thank God for that priest. See, one priest was good, and one priest didn't want to come, not even to bless her. God forbid she would have died.
That's amazing, though. So then the war ended, and
After, after that, this was 1944, before the winter of 1944. And then June 1945, the war ended.
wow.
And then the Germans used to come back, they didn't have transportation, so they used to walk to Germany. They walked home, some of them. And my mother used to put out the war and maybe a piece of bread, because right after the war, you could get bread.
Right.
Not much, but maybe one thing, per day. And she used to put a little piece of bread, something, whatever we had. And people used to say, why do you do that? My mother said, my husband is a prisoner too. And he wants to come home, and maybe somebody will help him come home, You never know who's going to help who. So she used to,
Okay.
people, not that they didn't like her to do it, but they used to criticize her.
Yeah.
Why are you doing it? The Germans were so mean, but not all the Germans were mean. Some of them were just human, caught in a war, like my father was.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's great. that was some of the most interesting stories I've ever heard in my whole life. You want to? We'll call it quits for today. And
Yes.
okay. That's. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.